Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, welcome to our Dyn 365 Pros Power BI webinar, New AI Visualizations and Navigation. My name is Erin Karakiewicz. I'm a Dynamics 365 consultant and Power BI user with Dyn 365 Pros. We're going to be walking through a few new items in Power BI and demonstrating use of some of the new features released over the summer, maybe things that you've already popped in and seen, and maybe some new items. We're working with an existing report, so you may see a bit of data that's already there. If you have any questions or need any help on getting started with a report, we'll give contact information at the end. A little bit about our company. We are primarily Dynamics 365 consultants, but we're also working heavily with Power BI and other Microsoft products. So the first thing that you may notice if you haven't logged into Power BI in a while is that the newest version looks quite a bit different than it used to. Those dark panes and the overall background area of the report and data builders is now bright coloration, but the main pieces in navigation are all in the same spot for Power BI desktop. So you'll see, of course, that used to be almost black surrounding all over, but they've brightened that up, make it a little bit more user-friendly for reporting. And the other place that you need to actually make an adjustment to that is in Power BI Online. So this is the online interface, and when you log in, you're probably still initially going to see the dark background and look here. The first
Hey,
tip,
Erin.
yes.
I'm sorry. Could you share your screen? Oh, we're looking at the intro screen.
Shows that I am.
There you go.
Okay. So the overall look of Power BI then desktop has changed to the brighter backgrounds, light gray rather than it being the dark heavy look. If you are not seeing this when you log into Power BI, you probably just need to update the download the newest version. When you log in very frequently, you're probably seeing some kind of a download the newest version, and it'll prompt you to walk you through those steps. Now, Power BI Online will by default still allow you to have the gray kind of traditional background. It did not force anybody to look at the newer version, but we'd recommend making the jump and switching over to the new look, which is a little toggle right up here at the top. And that'll update to a much sleeker, fresher look for you that's kind of more cohesive with the rest of the Microsoft suite. So the first piece of functionality that we want to really jump into is talking about the filter panes and filtering overall the adjustments and changes that have been made. So previously when looking at our reports, and I'm going to stick in Power BI Online for a bit, we'll be switching back and forth throughout the process. So here, looking at our first page of our report, our open opportunities, we used to use slicers heavily for filters just to provide right in a very convenient and easy to use space. So a lot of times it would be, just filtering based on these slicers and then digging in further, of course, to drill into your data. So all of those functions are still available to us and still valid and hold their piece and reason within any of your reports. But Microsoft has provided an even better way to be able to control filtering as a report builder for other data consumers, as well as make things easier when you're in Power BI Online, especially. So you can see now that we've got a little bit of a difference here. The filter pane on the right is there instead of, there used to be a bunch of different little pieces that you kind of had to move back and forth online when you were working with it. So we're going to look at how to actually work with those and configure some of those filters. So back to our desktop where we actually build our reports. The first thing you need to do is make sure that the new filter feature is on. So in File and Options, down under Report Settings, you'll see the Filtering Experience option. So if that's off, you want to make sure that that's on to be able to work with these features. So I'm going to work with that same, with one of these pages that we have. So in my Open Opportunities page of my report, we're looking at those same visualizations, my same slicer, but I would like to eliminate the slicer, give myself a little bit more space right here, and work with this new filter pane. So I'm going to pull over my customer segment into a filter for this page. We have the option for these filters both at the page and on all pages, so throughout the entire report. So I'm going to leave this filter with everything except for my consumer segment right now. I would also like, because I'm looking at Open Opportunities, obviously to grab this status and just select that I'm looking at my Open Opportunities here. So I have added what I would like to add, but I'm able to actually kind of enhance the features by visually changing colors, some of the nice things that we expect out of visualizations in Power BI. So here in my filter pane area, in the design area, I can find my filter pane options, and it'll expand the different options that I'm given here. So I'd like to set just a light little gray all the way to the back to be able to see that. I can change, of course, font and icon color and change the size of this a bit, make it a little easier for users to grab. And of course, changing our font to be consistent with our themes. If you're using themes, most of these things will still be included. So kind of keeping your font consistent depending on the theme that you're using. Of course, the out-of-the-box themes with Power BI also apply all of those font and coloration changes for you. So on this page, I've added a couple filters to my Open Opportunities. We're going to walk through a couple more changes, but one thing, I've called this out as an Open Opportunities tab. I've allowed the status to be available as a filter, but it would be most logical, of course, that I would say no one should be able to change this. I want them to address this page with Open Opportunities, looking only at Open. So what I'm going to do is I can set this filter as a lock, and I can lock that based on just this individual field while leaving this one available. So I can also set the lock here. We also have options to hide this individual filter or hide the entire filter pane. So all of these options, you can set one-offs, and then you can hide the entire filter pane if you would like, or leave that available. So here in Closed Opportunity, we'll do the same thing. We're going to lock this one, but in this instance, I'm just going to say they don't even need to see this opportunity or see this opportunity option. These can also be pretty helpful when you're controlling things around security without getting into a very complicated management of data process. Rather than going through and doing some of the line options we have, we can set that based on segmenting out reports and hiding certain options. So I've set a couple different options here. One, I'm hiding my entire filter pane. Here, I am going to just hide this visualization option. Show some additional information here. So when I save and publish this now, it's a fairly small report, so it's a pretty quick update. We'll see some of the adjustments that we've made applied here. So I can see that the status is lost or won by any of these reports. In certain places, things are locked. I've hidden the filter entirely from the opportunities. So this is what it looks like when we've hidden the filters. I can say that I would like to have addressed any one of those items and be able to have that filter apply without having to go control that in the online version as well. So that's the new filtering experience available to us. I recommend definitely playing around with that and taking a look at those options. Probably will allow some adjustments to reports that you've already built to be made as well. It's one of those places where we can certainly consolidate some pages, add some more features if we are able to kind of whittle down the amount of slicers that we need, and it'll also help improve users' experience without them having to learn quite as much about the process. The next piece that we're going to take a look at is probably the most powerful piece that we've been given thus far as AI information goes. This visualization, Key Influencers, packs a huge amount of AI in one extremely easy to create component. This visual takes really the next step by analyzing a data set and assigning these influence values. So this goes beyond data analysis we have and really pushes forward into the kind of frontier of actionable, proactive, and forward-thinking metrics. It's all based on the Microsoft artificial intelligence infrastructure that's been leveraged throughout the Microsoft 365 products. So here, this is the key influencer visual. So looking at it online, kind of the more user experience, what this is really doing as a component is taking one piece of our data. So here we have this opportunity data set essentially, and I can see I have my probabilities for my opportunities set at critical, high, low, medium, and then of course blank, so not specified. I would like to see what some of the impact is that kind of influences where that probability is sent, see some correlation and understand where I might take this and make some actionable changes within our sales process or cycle. So kind of looking at the analysis side of this, if I'm looking at what are my opportunities where the probability is critical. So Power BI is taking the pieces of information that I've given in the data set and kind of correlating that out for me. So the information that we get here is when the discount goes up, not surprisingly, the likelihood of the probability goes way up as well. When our lead source for this was an existing customer, the likelihood of the probability of being critical increases by almost 17%. So all of those things are pretty logical, but getting the numbers and the statistics to sit behind those is a really powerful piece of information. If I've set this to maybe low, I can see when my lead source is blank. Pretty good piece of information to understand. Maybe my trade show leads are not as preferable or ideal of information that we're getting. I have the option here to just take a look at those influencers. So really just take a look at the key pieces that Power BI is telling us may pertain to this, and also gives us the option to take a look at some top segments that they've put together for us. So this visualization by itself is hugely helpful at many different levels of analysis, and putting it together is as easy as could be for something so powerful. So we'll take a look at walking through that process. The visualization icon here is just the key influencer option. I'm going to expand this a little bit to take a look. So rebuilding that, I want to use the probability still, and that's the information that I'm going to be looking for. So I'm looking to analyze my probability here in the visualization builder. Now, the pieces of information that I put in to say, give me the output that I am looking for is the explain by information. So if I were to add in maybe the terms, the first thing you'll see is there's no influencers found. So Power BI is taking that step to say, we're not just going to give you data for data's sake, only when there's actually something that's really valuable and pertains to your opportunities. But here, then when I switch over and look at the probability being low, you can see based on these specific terms, there is some data that is worth displaying based on that. So my lead source, again, was another piece that we had in. So in real time, I'm getting information based on my data set telling me, really the scope, the helpfulness of my lead sources. Where are we finding some most valuable resources that we're putting into getting our opportunities or our leads? So again, key influencers is really key. We expect to see a lot more of this coming out of Power BI, but it is one of the biggest pieces of new AI that we were given this summer. If you don't see this as an option in Power BI, the other place to check again is under your options and settings. There is an option to turn on preview. So you'll want to make sure that all of your preview features are turned on as an option. So if you don't see that, go check out where your preview is and make sure that it's turned on. So the third and final piece that we're going to take a look at is setting up the option to have icons on our reports. So included in my report also was order profit levels. So we can take a look here and see that I've just put together a big table. We can take a look at that as well in Power BI online. So we've got a good table here just of, my customer, the product category, and the profit combined overall. I've got some year information as well for sales. But you'll see these little icons. This was a request we frequently put into Power BI, so we know that they're frequently returning our requests with good response. But we can see that they've provided the option for us to just assign these icons. So we all know that the big power of Power BI is the visualizations and making the data really easy to use. So taking a look at this, I can see pretty easily. Green check mark, good indicator that we're doing all right. And any of these are things that I should probably address. Building those out is really, again, very straightforward. So we're going to take a new table here. And I'm just looking to start with kind of my product category in a table format. I would like to look at my customer information. And I would like to look at my profit overall. So to make the changes to this, to have our icons available, over here in values, we just click profit, and rather than our conditional formatting being just based on those colors where previously we could kind of set background colors, now we have the option for actual icons. So again, we have our field options. If you'd like to add kind of those quick measure calculations that are available, you could certainly use those. Icon layout information, where would we like that to sit? And of course, the alignment of the icon, pretty straightforward. So if the value of my profit is greater than or equal to a whole number here, but it's less than this whole number, then I would like to have that called out kind of with a bit of a warning. All of these do need to match. You need to be using number or percent as an option if the value is greater than or equal to, making sure that these align. So all they have to do is really set the numbers, fill in the blanks, and this will all pull in those appropriate icons. So helpful not just when looking at financials, but again, those probabilities. What is the likelihood of us closing or working with any of those particular segments that we're looking at? So the combination of using something like icons and those key influencers together provides a really big picture that truly takes those items to be actionable and provides a way for one person building reports to put all of that information together and share that using the Power BI Pro option with other users. So we're looking at these tools as us building them out, but understand as well that this is one person can build it, provide it out, and then everyone can use those filters accordingly, make the changes that they need to work with those. So building a dashboard for every individual help provide that information as well. So then kind of summing all of that up into a dashboard. One of the great options that we have too is the slicers on dashboards or clicking within data in dashboards opens up a new report for you. The key influencer visualization is one item where we can go in and make adjustments and take a look at that live within our dashboard. We don't have to open this, go somewhere else, and then pop back in. So then embedding all of this in a Dynamics 365 instance wraps all of this information together in one really easily accessible place that users themselves can go modify kind of the look and layout and organize a dashboard for themselves appropriately. So those are our quick tips and tricks on the new AI features from Power BI. Mark, I didn't look if there are any questions. Otherwise, we'd recommend that you open it up and take a look, start working with any of this information, and certainly reach out to us with any questions or concerns.
Erin, that was great. Thank you. There are a couple of questions from the audience, so we'll get to those now. So first question is, we are toying with Power BI, just getting started. Can we get help taking it to the next level, and how do we do that?
So we certainly provide assistance. We have kind of a getting started package to walk through, initial data loads. We have some tutorials that we can provide as well that we've already put together, but really it's about getting your data in and starting to take a look at what's available and then mapping out what you need. So Mark is probably a good contact for that.
And sorry I got in late. How do we expose these dashboards to our CRM users that aren't necessarily trained on Power BI, and what does that cost?
So once you have Power BI, you can embed that in Dynamics 365. That's just native, nothing to add. There are a couple of settings that need to be made in Dynamics. We have information on how to do that as well. Otherwise, the Power BI Pro license is required for sharing dashboards and reports with other users. But the Power BI free option, you can create builds, do whatever you would like to on your own. There's Power BI is actually free itself until you start working with some of the collaboration options, and then there's a small license, monthly license fee.
Okay, another question. Do multi-option sets work with Power BI slicers, etc.?
That's actually something that we've been looking to over the last week or so. Have not found a particularly easy solution without doing some data transformations, but we can follow up, Mark, if you want to capture whoever that was.
Okay, I got it. That is it.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone. This is pretty exciting stuff really in the Power BI and data world, really taking advantage of the data you're already capturing and already working so hard to maintain, get every bit of it that you can to work for you.
Yeah, and just so you know, you'll receive a follow-up email with a link to a recorded version of today's presentation that you can review or share with a colleague. Additionally, a short survey to see if you have any additional questions or would like to get started with Power BI, et cetera. And that'll go out in the next 48 hours.
Alrighty, that's it for me. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Aaron. Bye-bye, all.